Today, Ryan and I are going to preview for you the newest game in the Dark Tomb series. This one is called the Ice Chasers. We've never covered the Dark Tomb games on our channel. We've covered plenty of other Kaz games. In fact, you have done a lot of those.
I have. I've done a lot. Yes, and Kaz games generally kind of has a theme, which is big games in small boxes, or I guess I should say tins. And the Dark Tomb series is no exception to that. This is the third game in the Dark Tomb line, and each one of them kind of gives you a small RPG adventure in a tin that you can carry with you anywhere, and a game that takes very little actual table space while still delivering a lot of the tactical feel that you'd expect from an RPG in a box kind of game.
Yeah, this is a very chill experience. The rule set is minimal. Mm-hmm. The rule book is readable in maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And you pretty much know exactly what you need to do. I don't know that the footprint's quite small enough to play sort of on an airplane tray table, but it's close.
Two airplane tray tables, maybe, if you got your neighbor playing with you.
There you go. As we mentioned earlier, there's a couple others. There's Dark Tomb Crypts of Aurelian and Dark Tomb Bloodthorn Island. These came out earlier. There was a campaign for this one, then a campaign for this one that had both. There is a new campaign that I'm sure will have these, as well as the Ice Chasers.
And they've been very successful campaigns. And there is a huge draw, I think, for this style of game, where it's almost like, I don't want to say the cozy experience, but it's way more chill, way more laid back. You've got one die to roll. It's D20, so it does bring back those D&D feels. You've got a lot of the things you'd expect to find in games like this. Yes, there's line of sight, there's movement, there's distance, there's obstacles.
But all simplified.
Yes, that's very simplified. In fact, it's all simplified into your cards. And if you look at what we've got set up here, everything is using the same size card, and your character is made up of 3 cards and then any items that you might be carrying. And if you notice, it's very iconic. Everything from your plus hit to your damage to your range to your type of attack is all done with icons.
Yeah, for instance, I'm playing Osh here, and then there's these 2 Osh cards that give me my actions that I can take. Every turn you take, you're going to move and take an action. That's it.
That's it. They even give you a player aid to remind you.
Player aids that you barely even need to play the game on, honestly. But yeah, you move and take an action. The movement you have is right on your card, and the actions are on those 2 other cards. In this game, there's also another one, at least for Osh. They've got sidekicks. I've got Ermine here, which is this little ferret. I'm not sure if he's a mean-looking ferret, by the way.
Looks angry.
I'm not sure if it's inspired by Beastmaster. Do you remember the Beastmaster movie? But this is a sort of little animal companion that's going to be also out on the map. Sadly, when we just played, Ermine met an early demise.
Yeah, he did.
But you can revive the companions as well, which is really cool. And we're going to show you exactly how this thing kind of gets up and gets going. We had stage 1 here that we just completed. We saved stage 2 to show you, but I wanted to show you what one of these looks like. This is Bloodthorn Island. But when you open it up, it's just the rule book, and then you've got the deck of cards, which is all of these cards are going to make up sort of the adventure. You've got sort of the little short narrative, all the map cards, then monsters and loot, and then what you read at the end of completing one. There's that 20-sided die. And then all these little cubes. There's different cubes for the different players. There's black cubes for the monsters with icons on them for, to assign them to the different cards that coming out. And then these loot tokens. That's it. That's all you get. But it's such a nice little compact little package. It's just like, okay,
nice looking on the table too.
I'll learn how to play this right away.
And that's the draw. I mean, it is very simple, like we said, to learn, and very simple to play in that you're taking one move and one action, and your movement is based on how far your character can move. You count the squares, and your actions are all based on the cards you have in front of you. Your action cards that you start with, and then of course some of your items that you can find are going to give you actions. Every one of the levels or stages is going to give you some kind of an objective, but it's usually just clear the area. So you're thrust into this fighting arena almost, where you're moving around this very tiny tactical battlefield, doing battle with everything. But setup and gameplay could not be simpler. In fact, David's doing it right now.
We are going to set up the next stage. I'm going to read it for you right here. Mountainside. Spoiler alert, by the way.
This is stage 2.
This is stage 2, so if you don't want to hear the details, but I'm just going to read you this description. You follow the detailed route on the map up the mountainside. As you ascend, the icy earth becomes more and more difficult, etc., and so forth. But then you're going to take the starter card and flip it over, And then you're going to build this map here, but you're going to build them out of the rest of the cards from stage 2. And these are going to be placed face down and oriented however you want. You can rotate them. In fact, the rule book encourages you to orient them. So it's
that way every time you play, you have a little bit of a different scenario.
That is the map, effectively, for stage 2. We're going to put our guys on there.
Hey, don't forget your
I'm
sidekick.
going to put Ermine back into action. And then you start playing. So you see the mountainside, it might have some additional rules or some things that sort of point out iconography on the map and whatnot. But you're going to start playing, taking your turn. And then in this game, there's a seismic event that happens sort of during the stage turn. So every stage, I'll go, Ryan
climbing up
goes.
this icy mountain, so
and then we
sense.
roll that die.
Yeah.
There's going to be a number of things that kind of come into play. And we've taken a peek at some of the stages. They add more and more. So there's going to be not necessarily little checks, but events that happen where you're going to be rolling that die to see what happens. One of those that's going to happen in every stage is the beginning, sort of during the stage turn, that seismic event.
Yeah, and the stage turn is going to happen in the middle of all the other players. You're going to play in order, so it is clockwise. You go down, and again, just like with your character, they've made it very simple to see. Okay, in your character turn, you take a move and an action, and here's your free actions. Then on the stage turn, you check for the seismic event, and then you do the monster turns. And again, as you find these monsters, they're also very easy in that it just tells you what they do. Okay, they have an armor value, they have an attack value. These little icons show you how many people they can attack, the range they can attack. Can they attack through walls? Are they beholden to line of sight? All of that, which could take up pages in a rule book, is actually boiled down to these little icons. And we can see here, okay, this guy can go through walls and he can hit 2 people.
Yeah.
2 different arrows. And his range is 2 to 4, so that's all squares. Now, the order that you fight these monsters is going to change. The order that you can move around these different areas is going to change based on how you've done that. You're going to want to pick up the items, which, again, every item is thematic to where you're at. We're climbing up the ice mountain, and we find a crystal. That makes sense. So the goal is to clear the level without dying, and that's really your main goal.
You want to take out the enemies and get all the loot.
But it's a puzzle. It is what it boils down to is a cozy little puzzle of cooperating with your teammates. How can we make use of our basic actions to deal with this efficiently before we all die? I mean, that's really it.
Yeah, and that's what the Dark Tomb series is all about. This game doesn't really play significantly different than the other. It is just more Dark Tomb series.
A different narrative, a different little story.
Different little story, and it seems like, and I don't know how many more they plan to do, but with the last one, they added this little boat. I haven't played the last one, so I don't know what that boat does, but it looks like you actually put the little cubes in this boat. This one, I think, added the sidekicks, and I think it is a cozy little adventure. I'm going to stick with that. I think it's a good word for it. It's a very chill, cozy experience that lets you kind of like, oh, let's do a quick little dungeon dive. Definitely sort of filler vibes too. I guess unless you play stage 1, then stage 2, then stage.
Yeah, if you
it's
play
going to take a bit.
You can play all the stages in probably 90 minutes.
Oh, for sure. Maybe even an hour.
Maybe even an hour. But that's not the goal. Isn't to beat it. The goal is the tactical experience of solving that puzzle every single round. So every time you play the game, whether you start from stage 1 or wherever, it's going to be different than the last time you played it. You're going to be using different characters who have different abilities, different strategies, different ranges of their different attacks. You're going to be gathering different items because there's more items for each map than you'll see. There's more enemies from each map than you'll see.
There's also more characters too.
Yeah, a ton more characters.
This is not just a 2-player game. We had 2 more characters in this one. It looks to be 4 characters in each box. They're all different. I don't know that they suggest you mix and match.
I don't know.
Probably
you might be
not.
able to, but whatever.
But anyway,
your game. Once you own it, do whatever you want.
Very interesting little series that they've built here. If you have any more questions about it, though, please make them in the comments below. We'll try to answer what we can. Also, check out their campaign page, even their new one, but more specifically some of their older ones, because you'll get a sense from those pages even more what this game is all about. And then you'll see with this one kind of some of the things that they're adding.
Yeah, and very easy to just, grab these tins and throw them in your backpack when you're traveling somewhere too.
100%. But do get down in the comments below or join us over on our Discord and talk even more about the game. Until next time, though, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.